Yes, and of course Saeed. Saeed, as many of you know, is a very experienced Toastmaster, and we saw that right away when he came up to the podium. He has such poise, he makes things look so effortless, but those of us that have known him for a little while know that he really thinks things out, so he makes it look easy, but he's really employing a lot of techniques that we can all use. One of the things that I noticed, Saeed, that you did right away when you came up is that you moved the table back a little bit. And what I immediately thought is that you wanted to make sure, you came right in front of the podium, you wanted to make sure that you were able to have eye contact with everyone. So that immediately kind of sets the stage. He talked without a note the entire time, something that many of us are very envious about. He always has wonderful contact, eye contact with the audience. And throughout the speech, he looked across the room a number of different times. He moved kind of to and fro, so he was connecting with different parts of the audience. That presence, that ability to speak so smoothly and eloquently is something that comes from experience. But behind that experience are some very specific techniques that he uses in terms of organization. The theme of his speech were the 4 E's of GE. And so right away, just in the title and also in the content, he's giving us some kind of hooks to hold on to. He caught our attention. He said, do you know Jack Welch? It's a familiar name to many of us, even if we're not in the business world. And he said, do you know that his company, in terms of market capitalism, how valuable the company was, it was $650 billion. So right away, that's something that really gets our attention. When he talked about specifically what the 4 E's were, which are energy, an ability to energize, have an edge, and to execute, he repeats key phrases several times. So he mentioned, you know, I'll say it again, I'll repeat it again, so we can really get those 4 E's in our mind. He did this a couple of different times in terms of he repeats phrases or questions that kind of draw us into it. For example, he said, how do you look for people? And then when he repeated it again, he added an extra phrase, how do you look for people to hire? So that ability to emphasize key points through repetition and also really connecting with the audience, I think really helps us internalize what you have to say. He also makes sure that there's analogies between what he's talking about, you know, this large company where Jack Welch, the CEO, says we build leaders, not just products, with our own personal experience in Toastmasters. So he was able to refer to the audience, members of the audience, and the experience that they had had in Toastmasters, and which we can all relate to. So whatever level of leadership we have been involved with, we can really connect with the message. It was very hard to figure out kind of a couple things maybe to offer as suggestions. One is perhaps not so much back and forth. I think, Saeed, you have such presence that maybe a little less to and fro would have worked for you. And at one point you got behind the lectern, but I thought perhaps that was the transition to giving out the award. So that was very effective in terms of that technique. So all in all, I think there's kind of one more E to add to energy, ability to energize, edge, and execute, because we all wish we had the experience that Saeed has. It makes it look so easy.